Hey everyone, Josh here with Carl's Mower and Saw, and today I want to do just a real quick comparison overview between the Husqvarna, the Husqvarna 535 LS loop handle trimmer. What a nice, sweet, smooth running machine, versus its two STIHL competitors, the FS 131R and the FS 240R. And why I have two STIHLs is because this 535 kind of falls right in between the two. Personally, in running it, I think it's closer in comparison to the 131, but specs and power were showing a little bit more like the 240. So let's go over really quick. We're dealing with two trimmers, the two lower, the 535 LS and the 131, are both roughly in year 2023 a $500 machine. Obviously, prices will fluctuate, so keep that in mind. Then we go to the the FS 240, and we're going to go up about $150 to roughly $650. Weight-wise, the 131 and the 535, or the 535 and the 131, both come in right at 12.1 pounds. I think the Husqvarna shows that it's a tad higher, like 12.15 versus 12.1. So weight-wise, these two are going to be comparable. When you do go up to the FS 240, you're going to show a weight of about 14 in, I got it written down here, 14.6. So that's a pretty significant jump. Here's what we got. Let's start with the smallest in horsepower rating. It's going to be the STIHL FS 131R. It's 1.9 horse. Okay, 12.1 pounds, 1.9 horse, roughly $500. The Husqvarna 535 LS is stated to be 2.15 horse, coming in roughly at $500, and again, just over 12.1 pounds. And then the STIHL FS 240 here, 14.5 pounds, 2.3 horse, runs roughly $650. So definitely on the high end, but that horsepower feels a little different out of this. I would say it's feeling 20% more than the 535. So there we go, just for kind of, that's a starting point. But I think really what we should be comparing is the 131 and the 535. That's where you're kind of going to spec out the same. So let's start at the bottom end. They're both going to come with a bump head. The Husqvarna with the T35X and the STIHL with the Auto Cut 27-2. This one has a 25-foot line capacity. The Husqvarna has a 35-foot line capacity. Both of them are greasable gearboxes. It appears to me that the STIHL gearbox is a little stouter as far as bearing size, as far as material. It looks like that's a little larger. The Husqvarna, I'm just going to say Husqvarna. It's easier for me. Has a little bit slimmer profile on the guard. So if you're somebody who likes to do a lot of what we'll call reverse edging, this gives you a little bit easier visibility with the Husqvarna. One thing I want to point out on this T35 is we have a bearing in this bump knob. So as this is running across the ground, the bearing or the bump knob isn't spinning on the ground, it's spinning on the bearing, which is pretty slick. Both are a greasable gearbox. Again, I said the STIHL is slightly larger in capacity or its size. The drive shaft, both of them run a solid steel drive shaft. The STIHL has a slightly larger inner diameter drive shaft, as well as a slightly larger diameter tube. On the handle-wise, the Husqvarna is a rubber-coated, very comfortable handle, as is the STIHL. The Husqvarna has the quick change wing knob right here on the side, so I can quickly loosen and adjust this to operator height, operator comfort. Also, you'll notice this is slightly tweaked to the side, which they say is better ergonomically for comfort. Thank you. Way to go, Husqvarna. You think these things through. All right, let's get up to the throttle side. The Husqvarna has a kind of a built-in anti-vibration system in their throttle. It is a hard, wow, that was a frog coming out of nowhere. It is a hard plastic handle grip. We do have a return to run kill switch and obviously an interlock and a standard throttle control. Good throttle movement on this. So on the Husqvarna, I've noticed a slower increase in acceleration. So it's a longer throttle throw, which means a little bit more control in tight places. On the STIHL, again, we have a return to run kill switch. This does not have an anti-vibration in it, but it is rubber coated. A little bit smaller throttle control, a little quicker throw. STIHL's a little shorter. That should lead, and does lead in our shop experience, to less breakage. It's less inclined to get hit in the trailer or in the shed and bust it off. Moving up to the top end, this is STIHL's 4-mix engine. So this is a little mini 4-stroke running on mixed fuel. So it's definitely meeting all the emissions regulations and standards. That's the reason we see it. But on top of that, it generally leads to an easier starting, meaning pull, smoother running, higher torque engine, less fuel consumption. So great little engine, high power, it does the job. Husqvarna is running our traditional 2-stroke machine, which is great. They've figured out how to make this work. Let's talk a little bit about kind of where we see the choke and primer placement. So the primer on the Husqvarna is right here in the front. Bam. The choke, again, right here in the front. Pull up. And then once I click this down, it's going to have locked the trigger, the throttle, for an advance. Air filtration. Easier, toolless air filter accessibility. I can just open that tab and open this tab, and off comes, and I have a rubber gasket all the way around, and then a felt air filter, a foam washable, I meant to say that, a foam washable air filter. So I do like the easy access with the air filter on the Husqvarna. That is a kudos, a bonus. But I do notice the material, and we'll take a look at the STIHL in just a minute, is better on the STIHL air filter. Get this cover back on. Again, remember, toolless, kind of slick for out in the field checking it. We have a metal skid pan on the bottom, so just protection of the bottom of the engine. Fuel capacity, I didn't check the difference. I would guess they're about the same size, but I'm sorry, I couldn't tell you. Pulling the rope on the Husqvarna, you know it's a 2-stroke, so you feel that pull all the way through. Protected spark plug, traditionally going to be a little less maintenance. We don't have valve adjustments on this machine. And let's grab the STIHL. It actually feels a little bit lighter, so something about this to me feels a little bit lighter. Starting at the front end, here's my choke on the STIHL, kind of like the Husqvarna. It is attached to the throttle, but on the Husqvarna, I do need to shut the choke off. On the STIHL, it'll actually start on choke, and then it shuts off with the trigger. So one less step in the starting process procedure. My primer is right on the top, still protected. Both of them are protected. STIHL feels it's better on the top, whatever. You know, they're going to have differences. Air filter access does require a tool. So I'm going to need my T27 Torx to get into here. Loosen this up. I should have had this pre-loosened, just so you can watch me screw around, right? Or I should do it on the tailgate of the Gravely JSV behind me. That'd be even better yet. Okay, so into the air filter, cover off. We have a pleated paper air filter. And it's soft. Whoops, it's soft, so it seals well against the body to prevent dirt getting through it. So a little bit more of a challenge to get to the air filter, but a significantly better air filter in my opinion. Fuel tank size, like I said, should be about the same. I'm sorry I didn't get that spec. STIHL does not have a skid plate or a protector metal piece on the bottom. Not that I have seen that to be a problem, I'll tell you. For years, STIHL has not done that. Something Husqvarna has done on their commercial models for years to just add a little bit of protection. Something STIHL has not done. They kind of build a little extra leg into their starter right here as part of the starter to protect the tank. you can get a look at the bottom of that. I would say the Husqvarna is more protected than the STIHL. All right, there we go. A quick rundown. Sorry, we're not doing a running side by side, but just kind of wanted to go over the specs, the weight, the feel, the differences. And I should hit on really quick the STIHL FS 240, even though I kind of took it out because I feel it's bigger and it really doesn't tie in. Very similar to the FS 130 on the stop switch and all the trigger stuff, where the choke is placed right here on the top. Air filter design is very similar. Primer, choke, all good. Not really a protected bottom of the engine, but this actually, yes, this plastic is covering the fuel tank. But this is a straight 2-stroke. So this isn't the 4 mix. This is a big, burly, powerful machine running at a very high RPM that gives it the serious power that it needs. There we go, guys. Thanks for stopping in, taking a quick peek. Which one do you feel is better? Is it the Husqvarna or is it the STIHL? Comment down below. Let us know what you think. We look forward to seeing you in store soon at Carl's Mower and Saw.